मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Oh, may Brahman, may the divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Oh, peace, peace, peace.
This song is composed by Swami Kripamayananda. The meaning of the song describes the divine advent of Sri Ramakrishna. The breeze of sweet melody flowing through the heavens. Let's go and witness the beauty of million moons and suns. After many yogic austerities, Sri Khudiram has brought beautiful divine being from the garden of heavens to this earth. This earth is full of impurities, selfishness and suffering. This dry desert, you cling like rain of love. O fellow beings, whoever is lost in Maya and delusion, get the initiation of dispassion, detachment, get drenched in the shower of spiritual love. Malayo Shumide. Malayo Shumide, Beshe Ashe, Kimudara Viti Ramudi, Kimudara Muji
I'm reading from the book. I'm reading from the book, Glimpses of a Great Soul, a portrait of Swami Sharadananda by Swami Asheshananda. This address of welcome was delivered by Swami Sharadananda on April 1st, 1926, at the convention of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission at Belur. It was published on page 17 of the book commemorating the convention. To the delegates of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission Convention, it seems to be the invariable rule that every new movement should pass through the stages of opposition and indifference before its principles are accepted by society and humanity as at large. And as human nature is the same everywhere, we find this rule displayed alike in the East and the West. The more radical the ideas of your reform movement, the more vehement will be the opposition. People will say the principles of the movement will ruin the very foundation of everything that is good and useful. But if the movement has real life in it and is based on the essential truths governing human nature, it will survive, grow, and win over the hearts of people despite the opposition. Outside opposition actually helps concentrate the energies of the movement and stimulates the expression of the fundamental truths on which it stands. So we cannot say the process of opposition is all bad after all. If the leaders of the movement are not watchful or neglect to find remedies to check these evils, you can well imagine the result. First and foremost, the unifying bond of love within the movement slackens from the pressure of selfish motives, and the members losing sight of the welfare and improvement of the movement as a whole, detach themselves into groups with a view to improving and making permanent these separate groups that are unrelated to the whole. This process of disintegration goes on, dividing the work to pieces. In the course of time, disobedience to superiors, vanity, indolence, and a whole host of other faults crop up within the work to ruin it forever. The Ramakrishna movement passed through the stages of opposition and indifference a few years before the time when its great leader, the great Swami Vivekananda, left us after giving the movement a working shape and organization under the name of the Ramakrishna Mission. Since then, the mission has been working steadily for the last quarter of a century and has brought itself to the point where it has found recognition and acceptance in the hearts of the people of India and of several countries abroad. The Master and his chosen leader, Swami Vivekananda, have done wonderful work to help poor India and other more fortunate countries through you. But still greater works remain to be accomplished. And the Master and Swamiji will do it all in time through you. If you hold fast to their purity and singleness of purpose, their sacrifice and self-surrender to all that is good, true and noble, and continue in that meek and humble spirit with which you have followed them. So in the words of our leaders, Swami Vivekananda, I call on every one of you to rise, awake, and stop not until the goal has been reached, until by the grace of the Master you have accomplished the noble task that you have imposed upon yourselves. Friends, brethren, children, co-laborers in the vineyard of Sri Ramakrishna, I welcome you with all my heart in the name of our Master, our illustrious leader, the great Swami Vivekananda, and our late revered President, the best beloved of the Master, Swami Brahmananda. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Ramakrishna Mission, its genesis and growth. Ramakrishna Mission has been officially formed 118 years ago on 1st of May 1897 by Swami Vivekananda in the place, in the house, which was frequented by Sri Ramakrishna and which was the household devotees were very dear to Sri Ramakrishna. It was the house of Balaram Bose, now turned Balaram Mandir, the Balaram Temple. The reading was so wonderful on Ramakrishna Missions. Just it was 29 years. The Ramakrishna Mission had been formed, and how Swami Saradanandaji, the then General Secretary, exhorts everyone to work for the ideal what Ramakrishna Mission stands for. And we all who are connected with the Ramakrishna Mission have been working the ideals of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda and Holy Mother. When we respect the Gurudwaras and the churches and the mosques and the synagogues, the ideal of Ramakrishna Mission is exhibited. When we treat the people of all color, yellow, brown, black, white, with the same eye, without any distinction, racialism, we are working the ideals of the Ramakrishna Mission. When we try to find and think that every embodied soul is divine, with all good, positive possibilities of highest degree, then we are following the ideals of the Ramakrishna Mission. Each of us who are connected, we, in small or big way, we are doing. And the best way to manifest the ideals of the Ramakrishna order to grow spiritually ourselves, become more pure, become holy, and by that we fulfill the purpose of the foundation of Ramakrishna Mission and advent of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. When the world was going through a great crisis, materialism was so great that big powers had come, big philosophies, that on money depends everything, and the goal of life is dependent on some passions. That time, the religion was being seen as something of the past and unuseful. The God was as if a thing of creation of human mind to cheat others. That was being preached by some philosophers. That time came Sri Ramakrishna and said, God is reality. I have seen God. God, I have spoken with Him. He, a God in the form of Mother, she talks with me. And the money and position that you say are of not real consequence for the happiness in your life. Purity, service, oneness, that is more important. And you see different religions which often might have quarreled with each other because they didn't understand the real import of religion, because they didn't have sympathy for other thoughts. So they quarreled. But if you see deep into each religion leads to same goal. It's all are different needs of different people in different religions. That's why different religions have come. So all can live in harmony. That was preached by Sri Ramakrishna through his practice of different types of religious faiths. Hindu, and all branches of Hinduism. So many branches are there in Hinduism. So many different ways of religious practices in Hinduism. Sri Ramakrishna practiced all. And he practiced Islam, he practiced Christianity. And he came to the conclusion, all religions are true, all religions are valid, all religions lead us to the same goal, and all religions makes us blessed and take us to the reality. The reality is God. Something which may not be perceived by the senses, that what we perceive with five senses, what we see and touch, only that is real, and there is no reality beyond five senses. That's what science tried to say. Sri Ramakrishna said, no, there is reality beyond the five senses. There is something which our soul can perceive, which our five senses cannot perceive. And he did it through his own personal experience. And he came to be a very happy person. He was not satisfied with his happiness and bliss. He said, this bliss which I experience, every human being has, is the heir of that blessedness, that bliss. As Buddha had taught in the past, as Jesus had taught in the past, Sri Ramakrishna taught in the same way through his experience, and he was inspired to disseminate that proposition, that possibility. Each human being can raise himself and others to that state of blessedness. And now, after reaching the goal, ultimate goal of human life, Sri Ramakrishna wanted the whole humanity to reach there. There comes a young man, Narendranath, where he is trying to find whether there is God or not. Has anyone there who has seen God? Is God the reality? Or what the science and the economics and the psychology says, that there is nothing beyond five senses, that is the reality. Is there anyone who has seen God on this earth? Finally comes to Sri Ramakrishna, then that famous question, sir, have you seen God? Earlier he had asked that question to many persons, many other religious leaders, big leaders, very honored leaders. None could say. Sri Ramakrishna said, simple man living in the temple, wearing very simple clothes, no outward show, very simple person, known to few people. Why? Because some person had understood him, Kesavchandra Sen understood him. And Swami Vivekananda, one of the lecturers, has told him, if you want to know about the trance and samadhi, go and meet the priest of Dakshineshwar, the saint of Dakshineshwar, near Calcutta. And Sri Ramakrishna's simple answer was, yes, I see God. And seeing God is possible. You also can see God. Great revelation. Nothing to doubt. It's coming from the person who has really experienced. It is not someone from who has read. Yes, Vedas say there is God. Yes, our scriptures say there is truth beyond mental perception. There is truth which is perceived by the soul. Not that way. I have perceived the truth. I have seen God. And God, vision is possible. Realization of God is possible to everyone. And you can do that. Great revelation. Satisfaction. Swami Vivekananda was satisfied. Started frequenting to Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Vivekananda was born with a large heart, very large heart, tremendous feeling for the humanity. He had so much of sympathy and love for the humanity, how to be connected. And he was a deep thinker. He could feel and understand the position of India at that time, how many people are suffering. Poverty, illiteracy, superstition, religious intolerance, all people are suffering. Young man of reading in the university, in the college, he was so sensible of those burning problems of India. And that person comes, how to make people give something to them. That was his desire of his heart. And now he knew that there is God, the merciful, all-loving. How to relate that? If there is God, with realizing which everything can be found well, and this is the ultimate goal, and is serving the humanity, how this can go together? One is done through deep meditation and prayer, another is through service and connection. It seems these are diversified, different paths. But he liked Sri Ramakrishna so much, he started coming to him, listening to him, asking questions to him, arguing to him. And many incidents in their life, wonderful relation between the teacher and the disciple. Disciple testing teacher. Teacher patting him, right, you have done the right thing. You should test the teacher, the Guru, day and night. That was Sri Ramakrishna. Everything Swami Vivekananda did, tested him, doubted him, Sri Ramakrishna encouraged. Yes, test me like a money changer tests his coins, whether it's counterfeit or right. Test me like that. That was Sri Ramakrishna. He was all pure, Nothing was there, any solid, any mixture, any alloy in him. He was 124 karat gold. If there is more than, he was that. One day, in the process of conversation, Sri Ramakrishna was talking to the devotees about the tenets of spirituality that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. The spirituality consists in repeating the name of God and serving the devotees of God and having compassion to the living beings. These three tenets. He said, having compassion to living beings, you, a mortal human being, you won't have compassion towards others? No, that is not right. Not compassion, but service to human beings, seeing them as verily God, Shiva Jnane Jiva Shiva, serving a human being as God Himself, that is the ideal. Many were there, they heard it, and Narendranath was one of them. Very nice talks, a new thought, little new thought, serve human beings. Swami Vivekananda came out charged with this thought. He heard something that he was seeking throughout his life, how to connect God and the world. Yes, the world has to be seen as God, and service to the world, service to human beings, service to the creation is service to God Himself. And he says, what a great revelation I had today. If time comes, I will proclaim this to the whole world. You see, Sri Swami Vivekananda's his idea about himself and his inkling that what he has to do. If God gives me a chance, I will proclaim this to the whole world. A student, he was an undergrad student at that time. What a great ambition for doing good to the world. And how connecting this God and the Creator and the creation, God and the world. And Swami Vivekananda found a great revelation that day. Later, Sri Ramakrishna, in a few years, Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda were together for in physical relationship like only 5 or 6 years, from 1881 to 1886. When Sri Ramakrishna was quite sick in 1886 in winter time, one of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples wanted to present some ochre robes to the monks in a great fair, religious fair in Ganga Sagar, confluence of Ganga and the ocean. Very religious spot on the earth, where the mighty and holiest river that meets with the sacred ocean. And he said, I want to go to the fair and distribute it to the monks. 12 ochre clothes were there. And he wanted the permission of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna said, where you have to go to search for the monks and holy men? Here they are, holier than them. Who are they? The young disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, college and school students. And he said, they are all great, pure beings. Give them. They are deserving more than them. So they are all distributed. There were 11 of them, young disciples. One was left. That Sri Ramakrishna said, give that to Girish Ghosh. Girish Ghosh's life in the beginning was not that pure and holy. But with his faith in Sri Ramakrishna, with his attempt to transform himself, change himself, control his mind, control his attitude, he later became a saint. Really saint he became. And this we consider as Sri Ramakrishna founding the Ramakrishna order. That he asked 12 or 11 of young of his disciples to be invested with they had the capacity and ability to accept the ochre robes, the robes of renunciation, the robes of sacrifice, the robes of dedication of their life totally to God. Sri Ramakrishna understood that. And towards his end, he used to talk with Swami Vivekananda, and he said to Vivekananda, please take care of this, I have to leave. Now it is my time to give up this body. And you take care of these people, these young boys, under your care. And see that they don't go back to the worldly life. Live together. That was the founding of Ramakrishna Mission. That's why I have belief that Ramakrishna Mission or Ramakrishna order was founded by Sri Ramakrishna himself. Swami Vivekananda, the seed form was done that day, and Swami Vivekananda nurtured that seed and gave the real shape and make it a plant. He just planted it, nurtured it, and it grew, and it is ever-growing organization. Sri Ramakrishna one day found Swami Vivekananda having a spiritual experience. And he came to Sri Ramakrishna and Ramakrishna asked him, "What do you want?" Swami Vivekananda, that experience was so profound, so sweet, so engrossing. He didn't want to give up that experience of having samadhi, being totally absorbed with the divine. He said, "I want to be in that experience always. Sometime I may come to this world, eat something and merge into that." Sri Ramakrishna said, "No, that's not for you. You are not made for that. You have to take the suffering of the world and give them the shade. You'll have to become like a huge banyan tree, which will give shade and cool breeze to others, and himself will take the heat of sun. That is what you have been born. You have experienced today, now I take the key with me. And when you have done mother's work, completely done mother's work, then you will be given the key and you will be freed." That was Sri Ramakrishna's thing. Now what was mother's work for Swami Vivekananda? That was to uplift the whole humanity to light from darkness, to be the joy, a state of joyfulness from suffering and misery. That was Swami Vivekananda assigned mother's work by Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Vivekananda had a very soft heart. Giving up, renouncing the world for him was a very difficult decision. He thought it. He had a mother, father had died, and he was the eldest of the children, and two brothers and few sisters. It was a difficult decision for him to renounce the world and become a monk. He writes a wonderful letter to Haridas Biharidas Desai, Diwan of Junagadh, in January 29, 1894 from USA. He writes, "If there is any being I love in the whole world, it is my mother," his mother Bhuvaneshwari Devi. "Yet I believed and still believe that without my giving up the world, the great mission which Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, my great master, came to preach would not see the light. And where would those young men who have stood as bulwarks against the surging waves of materialism and luxury of the day? With the Lord's help, they will do things for which the whole world will bless them for ages. So, on the one hand, my vision of the future of Indian religion and that of the whole world, my love for the millions of beings sinking down and down for ages, with nobody to help them, nay, nobody with even a thought for them. On the other hand, making those who are nearest and dearest to me miserable, I chose the former. Lord will do the rest. He is with me. I am sure of that, if of anything. So long as I am sincere, nothing can resist me, because He will be my help. Faith in God and confident of His mission in the world, that was Swami Vivekananda. 1893 he became very famous. After that, with this fame came the vision, what he has to do. He was aware of the mission in his life. He started writing very apostolic letters, full of spiritual surcharge to the followers in India, how they need to work for the masses, for the downtrodden, for the women's upliftment of whole of the country. and started giving the talks in US to surcharge people with a spiritual feeling. That was Swami Vivekananda's work, doing for the whole world. And this year 1893-94 was very hard for him, very inspired. A lot of opposition came with his fame. There were many who were very inimical to him. Even people tried to kill him. People opposed him every step. The people who knew him from his young childhood, they also become jealous of Swami Vivekananda and spread many wrong things about him, character assassination, all things started against him. Very difficult, very great struggle. At the same time, he was charged with the work to rejuvenate the whole world. That was Swami Vivekananda's time. And he saw the power of organization. Hinduism was never an organized religion. It was all individual practice for its own liberation, and they will have the salvation by self-practice. That was the tradition of Hinduism. Swami Vivekananda's religion didn't have only one's own salvation. It wanted to do good to the world. That was incomplete religion for Swami Vivekananda. He thought about Lord. And one day, to the host, he said, one lady in the US, he said, "I have fallen in love." The host said, "Who is that lady? Who is that girl, Swami?" Swamiji was a young person of 30 years, so handsome. So she thought, "Who is that fortunate lady, Swami?" Swami Vivekananda laughed and said, No, it's not lady, it's not girl. It is organization. I have decided that organization has to be built to do work. It has some defects. It binds some human freedom. There is curtailing of the freedom, I know that. But that is needed to do great work. Organization has the great power to generate for the growth and the work for the humanity. I have fallen in love with the concept of organization. That's Swami Vivekananda said. Goes back to India in 1897, in January. And in May, he calls the people, few devotees of Sri Ramakrishna to Balaram Mandir on the 1st of May 1897 and said, we have to be organized. And he gives the name of organization, Ramakrishna Mission Association, in the name of his own Guru. Know his name of his own Guru. And he said the motto of our organization will be twofold. One's own salvation and to do good to the world. Both have to go hand in hand. Atmano mokshartham jagat hitayacha. That is the ideal of Sri Ramakrishna. That is the ideal of present age. And that is what is needed of full expression of spirituality. That's Swami Vivekananda made that. Swamiji's idea for the regeneration of the masses he expressed to his followers. In his later he started writing that before even he formed a Ramakrishna mission there. He started organization as early as 1894, very next year in the US. The first center he started was Vedanta Society of New York in 1894. So Swamiji's organizing center has started since then. Ideas were very clear. He was being guided by the divine. So his idea was the need to raise the masses by giving them opportunities. That was Swami Vivekananda trying to impress to the world. Without injuring their religion. Don't touch religion. Give them freedom to perform their religion as they like, but always empower the masses. Need to remove untouchability. That was one thing. India was plagued with touchability. Swami Vivekananda wanted it to go as soon as possible. And not to distinguish between high caste and low caste. That was one thing Swami Vivekananda always said. This has to be removed, untouchability. The need for well-to-do people to help suffering people. How those who are rich, those who can afford, can come forward and help other people who need that. Inspire them to serve. That was Swami Vivekananda's way of making people come in contact with others. The need for women empowerment through education and opportunities. That was another thing. The women were lagging behind in the progress. Whole masses were there, but that was Swamiji's idea of the Ramakrishna mission, that women has to be empowered. They have to be given equal right in everything, even in spirituality, in work, in thought, in literacy, because he knew that India in the golden times had all the women, great saints and sages were there, and they were equally participant in the society and in every part of life. That had been somehow in the medieval ages was taken away from them. So he said that women should be empowered. That's why he said from his letter he wrote that mother and their daughter come first, and after that only father and his sons. Saying first the Holy Mother's word should start. That was his saying. Then he was very interested in education. He asked Sister Nivedita when she went to start a school for girls. No girl used to come. No Hindu girl, Muslim girl, nobody used to come to study that time. Just in like 100 years before. It was the situation in India at that time. So few very high class people were there. General people were, it was not in the culture. Only boys used to study. So Swami Vivekananda asked Nivedita to do. She opened a school and there were no girls coming, very few. Then he asked his own friends of his college and school days to send their daughters to the school. That's how Swami Vivekananda started this educating girls and women. He knew that is very important, education is very important. And Swami Vivekananda was very fond of scientific and technological education. That India should go. When he met Jamsetji Tata while coming from Japan to Vancouver, in the ship itself, he said up to him that instead of trading the minerals and the metals, why don't you establish a factory, a mill there, a steel plant in India? And why don't you do something to educate the people in the basic sciences and technology? Jamsetji Tata was a businessman, famous businessman at the time, a man of Parsi faith. But he saw the fire in Swami Vivekananda's words and practicality in that. He put himself into that, and the big first steel plant of India came. Tata Steel Plant came up. And he also invested in education, and that now famous Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, one of the famous education institutes, came by the inspiration of Swami Vivekananda. So Ramakrishna mission was established with a few ideology. What is the ideology of Ramakrishna mission? Ideology of Ramakrishna mission consists of the eternal principles of Vedanta as lived and experienced by Sri Ramakrishna and expounded by Swami Vivekananda. The basic principles of this ideology are: number one, ultimate goal of life. What is the ultimate thing that we should try to achieve in life? It is God. God realization is the ultimate goal. Another ideology is each soul is potentially divine. That potentiality to manifest the divinity is in every human being. Another is each human being has the quality of practicing all the 4 yogas. The serving God or worshipping God through action, through prayer, through meditation and through thought, through deep thinking and discrimination. Those all has to be practiced in human life. That the harmony of yoga is the ideal of Ramakrishna mission. Not that I will do only one. Each has to practice all. And each is to strengthen moral and spiritual ideas. Harmony of religions is very basic to Ramakrishna mission's ideas. And Ramakrishna mission ideal and ideology also believes Sri Ramakrishna as an avatar. Hinduism believes in the avatarhood, God coming as God. God coming as human being. So Sri Ramakrishna is the embodiment of spiritual consciousness of earlier avatars. That the Ramakrishna mission ideology incorporates in its philosophy. So, Ramakrishna mission also gave a new philosophy of work. universe is a manifestation of God. All work is sacred and is a worship of God. No distinction between sacred and secular. Everything that we do is sacred. Everything we perform is sacred, is worship of God. This philosophy, work as worship, that is Ramakrishna Mission's ideology. Service to man is service to God. That is also another Ramakrishna Mission's ideology, that when we serve human beings, it is service to God. And the emphasis of service to poor and downtrodden, that has always been there. Swami Vivekananda himself said, "He who sees Shiva in the poor, in the weak and the diseased, really worships Shiva. With him, Shiva is more pleased than with the man who sees him or Shiva only in temples." So these are the few ideology of Ramakrishna Mission. It's with its inception in 1886, and then finding Ramakrishna Mission formally in 1897, and with few, when they started there were about a dozen monks that were the members of Ramakrishna Mission. Today it has grown huge, big. Total number of monks today is like 1300, not too big as compared to the work that it works. But Ramakrishna Mission is not only a monastic organization. There are two organizations. One is called Ramakrishna Math, the monastery, and the Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Monastery is the organization of monks. And the Ramakrishna Mission monks are blended to the work of Ramakrishna Mission. So Ramakrishna Mission work is done by lay devotees and monks together. So that is the concept. There are two organizations, two audits, two accounts are maintained separately. And donations are also done to separate organizations. But headquarters of both organizations of Ramakrishna Math, the monastery and the mission are in Belur Math. And the trustees of the Ramakrishna Math are the members of the governing bodies of the Ramakrishna Mission. So very interconnected, almost close, yet they are the twin organizations. So Ramakrishna Mission now at present has grown so much in 118 years that it has 15 hospitals and 2,269 beds in them. There are 125 dispensaries, the places where people go to get medicine. Patients treated every year are 7,969,661, that is last year's account. In educational field, there are 1,417 educational institutes, not only in India, but in Buenos Aires, in Fiji, in Singapore, of course others are it's government-approved schools. Schools, there are Ramakrishna Mission running schools, and total are, and students to study in the school from the primary level to the university level is 328,124 students. And besides that, there are vocational courses that are run by the Ramakrishna Mission where 13,461 students read. Ramakrishna Mission's rural development work is very prominent. They work in villages to make roads, to empower them with financial help, and as simple work as cleaning, as simple work as toilets. And people have benefited from Ramakrishna Mission's rural development work are millions. Ramakrishna Mission works in tribal areas, in forest, in remote areas, northeast, in the forest areas where people do not go. Ramakrishna Mission is a very well-known organization in India because of these schools, and very good schools the Ramakrishna Mission runs. Everywhere they are at the top in that district or in that area. Recently, our Narendrapur school has got the best results so far in the history of the higher secondary education. There were positions received from 1st to 7th. All positions are backed by the Ramakrishna Mission school, Narendrapur. So they have good quality education they try to impart, and the students of Ramakrishna Mission are all over the world doing fantastic work. They are good in sports, and many cricketers in India are from the Ramakrishna Mission's Madras College. But the Ramakrishna Mission is very well known all over India by its relief works. Ramakrishna Mission did last year distress relief, drought relief, earthquake and tsunami relief, fire relief, flood relief, hailstorm relief, medical relief, milk distribution, winter relief. We do so many reliefs. Only the summer relief we can do because summer we don't have any shelter to provide people the cool thing. But winter time cold we provide blankets and clothes, all supported by the people. All these are supported by the gift of the people. A significant portion of our activity is among women, backward class, tribals in rural areas. Now we have 179 centers all over the world. And in time, the Ramakrishna Mission has grown so much. The growth of Ramakrishna Mission was very evident during the tenure of Swami Brahmananda when he was president for more than 2 decades. And during his time, just after Swami Vivekananda, a very difficult time, such a great personality just left the body and suddenly when he was just started the work when he was 40. And not even 40, he left, and all burden of work fell on someone whom people world didn't know, Swami Brahmananda. Very softly spoken, very indrawn, very devoted to God, but very much loved by Sri Ramakrishna. Everything fell on him. But he did, with his calmness, serenity, this inwardness, he did so miraculous work. There were many centers grew up during that time, Swami Brahmananda. After that, many presidents have come now, with the 15th President Maharaj Swami Atmasthananda, doing one fantastic work and is a little sick, and we pray for his long life and continued guidance. At the end, I would like to read from Swami Gahananandaji's his talk, a little longer, but beautifully he has said about the Ramakrishna movement. 2 pages. Please bear with me. Swami Gahanananda was a past president. He had delivered this lecture in Tamil Nadu when he was General Secretary. Sri Ramakrishna is the central source of all power in the Ramakrishna movement. He came with a worldwide mission, and all the activities now are going on in his name are to be regarded as manifestations of his divine mission. And all the activities now are going on in his name are to be regarded as the manifestation of his divine mission. He is the focal point upon which the lives of the men and women and the functions of the various institutions of the Ramakrishna movement converge. The Upanishad says, Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Eka Needam, where the whole world finds its common nest, that is common home. This is indeed true of Sri Ramakrishna, although it may take more time for the world to realize this fact. Devotees of Sri Ramakrishna constitute a single family. We may have been born in different places. We may speak different languages. We may have different cultural backgrounds. Nevertheless, we all belong to the same family of Sri Ramakrishna. The foundation of this worldwide family was laid by Sri Ramakrishna himself during his lifetime. What does the word movement mean in this context? The rapid spread of the influence of a set of moral and spiritual ideas among a growing number of people is what movement means. A movement is much vaster than an institution and is more dynamic than a sect. The Ramakrishna movement satisfies both these conditions. It is one of the most progressive movements of the present century. Some of the highest and noblest ideas and ideals of the modern world have been given to this movement by Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. The Ramakrishna movement consists of 4 streams. The Ramakrishna Math and the Ramakrishna Mission together form the main stream. These twin institutions were started by Swami Vivekananda at the behest of Sri Ramakrishna and with the help of the other great disciples of the Master. And the original inspiration and power are maintained through an unbroken succession of spiritual teachers and centralized administration. The lay devotees of Sri Ramakrishna form the first stream of the Ramakrishna movement. The lay devotees have as important a part to play in the Ramakrishna movement as the monks. It may be remembered here that Sri Ramakrishna did not encourage his householder disciples to renounce the world. On the other hand, one of his teachings was that householders also could realize God by fulfilling certain conditions. and several of the Master's lay disciples proved through their exemplary lives the truth of his teachings. These examples should inspire our householder devotees to tread the spiritual path with faith, hope and dignity. The lay devotees of Sri Ramakrishna include quite a number of young men who do not want to marry but who for various reasons cannot become monks. In every ashrama you will find these young men doing a lot of voluntary service. They are usually referred to simply as volunteers. They belong to the second stream. Sri Sharada Math and Ramakrishna Sharada Mission may be said to continue the third stream of the Ramakrishna movement. The private ashramas, functioning independently without administrative affiliation to the Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission, constitute the fourth stream of the Ramakrishna movement. Of course, there is nothing private about them. They are indeed public institutions based on the Ramakrishna Vivekananda ideals of spirituality and service. The Ramakrishna movement has as its common characteristics certain traditions and values. Some of these are enumerated below. No miracle mongering. Sri Ramakrishna never encouraged interest in miraculous powers, as it is a great obstacle to spiritual progress. The followers of the Master are expected to be free from religious hypocrisy and spiritual pretensions. Number 2, modern outlook. In our way of life, social manners, personal habits and attitudes, we should be modern and progressive. Relics of past social customs like caste distinctions have no place in our individual or collective's life. Number 3, non-sectarian approach. Swamiji had stated that the one thing Sri Ramakrishna never liked was setting limits to God. God has infinite powers and can assume various forms. A true follower of Sri Ramakrishna looks upon all religions as valid means of realizing the ultimate truth and regards the various cultic practices and spiritual techniques as suited to different temperaments. Those who belong to the Ramakrishna movement should never associate themselves with fanatical religious groups or leaders. Number 4, love. Sri Ramakrishna was the embodiment of love. It manifested itself fully through Holy Mother. And Swami Vivekananda sacrificed his life for the welfare of humanity. The love of these great personalities is a precious heritage of the Ramakrishna movement. Love must manifest outwardly as hospitality. Hospitality has been one of the time-honored virtues of Indian culture. And in the Ramakrishna movement, hospitality has always been associated with our ashramas. The Ramakrishna movement stresses on 3 more principles in our practical life. First of all comes character, unselfish, truthfulness, and purity in personal life and essential virtues for a worker of the Ramakrishna movement. In order to do the work of the Lord, we need great inner strength. True inner strength can come only through inner purity. The second principle is spirituality. Though morality is essential, mere morality cannot bring lasting peace or fulfillment. The Ramakrishna movement is preeminently a spiritual movement. Finally, the principle of social service. Although there are now a number of other organizations actively engaged in social services, the need for social service has not been reduced. Swami Vivekananda wrote in one of his letters, 100,000 men and women, fired with the zeal of holiness, fortified with the eternal faith in the Lord, and nerved to lion's courage by their sympathy for the poor and the fallen and the downtrodden, will go over the length and the breadth of the land, preaching the gospel of salvation, the gospel of help, the gospel of social raising, upon the gospel of equality. It is the duty of every one of the members of the Ramakrishna movement to strive his utmost in bringing to fruition this great wish and hope of Swamiji. So that is the great Ramakrishna movement enumerated by Swami Vivekananda ji in a short lecture that he gave in Tamil Nadu. We all are so fortunate to belong to the Ramakrishna movement, to admire the Ramakrishna movement, the great ideology and ideals of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, and want that it to grow further and many people to come in this movement to make their lives blessed and to be fruitful to the society by emanating that purity, that love, that sympathy and that unity with whole humanity.